Coach Amanda here, and let's start with your warm-up. So the first movement today is going to be an inchworm. So you guys have done this before. We're just going to walk our hands all the way down. Today we're going to add an upward facing dog. We'll hold this for 5 seconds. And then a downward facing dog, holding again for 5 seconds. When you bring that butt high, head through, and then walking our hands back to our feet. That's 1 rep. The next movement we're doing is a scap push-up. Now, you won't be able to see it so well in this angle. I'm going to show a different angle right there in a bit. But essentially, you want to get into a push-up position, and you want to think, bring your shoulder blades together, or chest sinks down to the floor, and then you push away, trying to hollow out that chest. Again, you want to try to think shoulder blades together, chest to the floor, and then hollow out that chest. You'll notice I didn't bend the elbows whatsoever, so it was all just coming from the upper back. Next movement will be your mountain climbers, and since we want to just open up the hips a little bit more, we're going to do it like a lizard pose. So we're going to bring 1 foot close to our hand, hang out there, and then switch to the other side. If you want to jump, you can surely jump between each side. Next will be your cam squat. So a cam squat is just a good morning. You want to bring your hips as far back as possible. Bring your chest low, chest goes up, squat, back into that good morning, and then stand. Nice and simple. Last movement for your warm-up is going to be a wall walk. Now before I show the clip where I actually do it on the wall, I'm going to show scale first. So just in case, there's no wall available or you're not really used to being upside down yet, you can find a chair or a couch. Luckily I have a low box here. And I'm just going to stand or start in a push-up position with my feet on that box. Now my goal here is I'm just going to try and bring my hips as far up and try to get my body as vertical as possible. You can keep the knees bent, this is fine, or if you can lock them out, that's fine as well. Whatever works for you. Going back to that push-up position again, and then walking all the way up. So your strength portion for today is going to be all upper body. We're going to do a push and pull. And there's one thing I want you guys to focus on as we do both movements, which is, and I'm sure you've heard this from me before, or any of the coaches really, which is bringing your shoulders back and down and making sure you keep them there as we do the different movements. Why is that important? It really protects the shoulder and it allows us to engage and utilize the bigger muscle, which is our upper back, to sustain the weight overhead rather than just the shoulder and the shoulder joint. Okay? So for your first movement, it's going to be a strict press. And I'm just going to use dumbbells for my demo. If you guys don't know this yet, your position for this starting position will be elbows forward, one head of the dumbbell on the shoulder, and you want your feet just under your hips. So when we do a strict press, we want to make sure everything is nice and tight. Glute squeeze, leg squeeze, core squeeze, and we're just going to bring it overhead and then back down, overhead and back down. Now, what happens when I don't set my shoulder properly? So this is me with a not engaged upper back, and I'm just going to press naturally. This is me not forcing it, and then back down. I want you guys to notice where the dumbbell is compared to how I did it earlier during the demo. It's a little bit more forward, right? So you would be able to see my ear behind my bicep rather than here. Ear and then bicep, right? So again, making sure we keep the shoulders back and down all throughout the movement. Okay? If you don't have a dumbbell or if you don't have a barbell, you can always use a weighted bag. So this bag actually does have quite a bit of weight for demo purposes. Just to show you it's possible to do, we're going to hold it right in front of your chest and you're going to bring it overhead. Same position, note where my ear is, it's in front of my bicep, and then back down. Okay, next movement is your upright row. So an upright row, and I'm going to use dumbbells again, but surely feel free to use a barbell instead, or even a kettlebell. I'm going to start this way. So my palms are facing me, dumbbells are right in front of me. Your feet should just be right under your hips as well. So just like I said earlier, we're going to do the same cue, which is shoulders back and down. And I'm going to initiate the movement with my elbows. I'm going to think elbows up, and then back down, elbows up, and then back down. Notice with what my shoulder did. It did not go up and then pull, right? Again, I kept my shoulder down all throughout as my elbow initiated the movement. Now, if you don't have a barbell or a dumbbell, you can still use a weighted bag again. You're just going to get a towel. This is a wrist wrap. I'm going to put it through the top hole right there. And same mechanics, I'm just going to roll my shoulders back and down, holding both ends of that wrist wrap and bringing my elbows up, back down, up, back down. So for your strength portion, it's going to be a superset. You are not supposed to rest in between the strict press and the upright row. So make sure the weight is relatively doable for you to do that and not breaking form. Your conditioning for today is a chipper. That just means you have to finish one or all reps of one movement before you move on to the next. And the one today, reps increase and then decrease. But sadly, as they decrease, movements tend to get a little harder. So, let's talk about the first movement, which is your hand release push-ups. It's just like any other push-up, but hands up. And then you do a push-up, hands up again. Push-up. Now, if you want to do it on your knees, that's not a problem. Next movement is going to be your alternating dumbbell clean and jerk. So, and this is a hang, by the way. When we say hang, it just means it starts above the knee. So if you have your dumbbells starting on the floor, just make sure to stand up fully first and then perform the movement. I prefer to do my clean and jerks this way, which is I bring it in the middle of my feet, bring it to one shoulder, and then bring it overhead. Just like that. Now, there are some people who prefer to do it out, which is okay. That's fine as well. Your goal is just to make sure you don't drop your chest too much, making or putting too much pressure on that low back. We'll try as much as possible to keep that chest up and keep that butt low as you do the movements. Now, can you do a clean to a press? That's fine. In case you don't have a dumbbell or a kettlebell or even a barbell, we can always use a weighted bag. So for the alternating clean and jerk, this is still a hang. You would bring it between the legs and then to one shoulder, pressing to the other, back down, and then same thing. Woo! Just like that. Quite challenging, trust me. Next movement will be your air squats. Nice and simple, feet should be shoulder width apart, toes slightly out, and you're going to keep your chest up, squat all the way down, and stand up, making sure hips go below the knee, and then up. Avoid touching the thighs as much as possible, and making sure you stand up for each rep. Next will be your mountain climbers. So earlier in the warm-up, we did it like the lizard style, and if you guys prefer that, you can still do that for the Metcon, but I would suggest to do your mountain climbers this way instead, just to bring the heart rate up a little faster, which is just bringing the knee to the elbow and then other side. So in real time, it would be, okay, your alternating lunge. Now, your alternating lunge, you'll just need one dumbbell still, and really up to you how you want to hold it as you do the dumbbells. So they're very, as you do the lunges, I mean. So there are different styles. You can hold it just like this, or like this, or have it rest on one shoulder, and then every now and then you would switch to the other side and then make it rest on that shoulder. So when we say alternating lunges, you just want to alternate between feet, right, forward, and then left. Now notice as I do my lunges, my chest stays upright, and that front knee or front leg tries to form a 90-degree angle as much as possible. So I don't want you to see this. You see this? This is small steps. Tends to put too much pressure on that knee, and I don't really want you guys to do that. So bigger steps, 90-degree angle for that front leg. Okay, still not done. Let's go to your hang snatches this time. So, for your hang snatch, same thing. Again, it's a hang, so you do have to pick up the object first. Stand up fully, before you perform. Now, again, this is how I prefer to do it. I like to bring the dumbbell between my legs and then bring it all the way up overhead for this movement. Now, some people like to do it from the side. That's completely fine. Now, the goal for here is exactly kind of like the clean and jerk. You want to make sure that chest stays up. I always see people do snatches this way, right? They swing it, but they swing it all too far back and then back up this way, right? And you'll notice I end up putting too much pressure on that low back. Don't want you guys to do that. Chest stays up, but stays down as you do it. For your hand snatch, it's going to be more like a kettlebell swing. Just so you guys can see, I'm going to twist. You're going to bring it between the legs, overhead, overhead. So technically, this is a hand to overhead instead of an alternating snatch. Last movement is finally, almost done, your hand release burpees. So I have to admit, the first time I did this movement, it gets really confusing. So, it takes practice, don't worry guys. So it's just like a burpee, but at the bottom of the burpee, you're gonna bring your hands up, and then hands overhead again, all the way down, hands up, and then hands overhead. And you're finally done. Strategy for this, because there's so many movements, there's so many things that you have to do. You want to kind of just find a good pace. You don't want to go too fast at the beginning, especially the body weight movements. I suggest you guys to just keep on going. Those kinds of movements, you can just breathe through. So even if you do your air squats like this, that's better as long as you keep on going rather than you do like 10 straight and then you gas out. You have to rest for 30 seconds before you do another 10. So you wouldn't want it that way. And hopefully, because you treat it that way, you get to finish under the time cap, which is 20 minutes. And I feel like you guys will, all depending on the weight that you have. It's still going to be a nice fun challenge despite that. So enjoy and good luck. And I'm excited to see your scores online. So for your cool down, we'll start on the floor. We're going to open our legs nice and wide. We're going to bring one leg in. And from here, we're going to bend forward. Now, as much as possible, just try to keep both butt cheeks on the floor. Switch to the other side. Really stretch those hips out. Nice and easy. Next, we'll go into a child's pose. So child's pose, pick those together, knees out to the side. Hips stay glued to the heels as much as possible. From here, you're going to walk your hands forward and bring the head through. Trying to relax here. Next, we're going to do upward facing dog. So we're going to lie down onto the floor just like this. And we're going to press up, relaxing the hips to the floor. And if it feels good, you can sway side to side. Next movement will be your thread the needle. So getting your right hand, shooting your right hand through, and pressing that right shoulder down, and then bringing that left hand forward. You can relax here in this position with your butt high, or if you want a better stretch, you can even lie down. Just put all your weight there, that's fine. And then switch to the other side, doing the same thing. Last for today is just a forward fold, having both feet together as much as possible. You want to try to keep those knees locked out, but if it's too intense for you, slight bend is okay, that's fine. You want to try and make sure we don't just, bend forward mindlessly. Let's try to keep that low back as flat as possible and then bend forward. Again, if you can keep those knees locked out, let's try to do that. And then back. Enjoy guys, I hope you enjoyed today.